Hi and welcome to this multi-part video series called Phone Right. My name is David Anthony. Now, if this is your first time here, welcome, and do consider subscribing because this channel is all about helping you go further and faster in business and in life. So let's get started.
Welcome back, and I hope you had some lively discussion in your break. In this segment, we're going to discuss some important finesse points with you so that you'll take just a little time to talk about performance standard 5C. So let's begin with 5C. You'll recall it says this: give a benefit of the product or service. Now, you use it because you want to make sure that you balance the information flow. To understand what we mean by that, consider two children playing on a seesaw. Now, you'll notice how the seesaw swings to and fro, and everyone enjoys it. But if the seesaw was like this, then it can start to feel uncomfortable. And in a similar way, if all you're doing is asking questions, then it can get uncomfortable for the person answering them. So, to prevent that happening, you use performance standard 5C. Now, you would have noticed how it was used in our examples. Listen in again.
I see. Well, it's great that a friend of yours has recommended it to you, and it certainly works extremely well in kitchens because it's absolutely silent and odorless. You won't notice it in any way. Oh, by the way, once again, my name is Dennis Johnson, and yours is?
Oh, yes, sorry. It's Carla White.
Thanks for that, Carla. Now, you asked about the length. It's actually 2 inches or 5 centimeters, so it barely takes up any space at all.
And then this great example.
Well, we think there's about a day of familiarization required to get the most out of your Series 2, but you may find the Series 3 better in that regard. It's much more user-friendly and adds in some faster processing too, so that your graphics will be rendered faster, saving you a lot of time. It comes in at around $425. That's just $100 up on the Series 2. And when you order now, Jason, I can add in a special fast-track video that lets you get the most out of it very, very quickly indeed, saving you a lot of time and effort.
Notice, if you will, that our team members aren't saying it's 2 inches or 5 centimeters or it's got faster processing. They're taking it right out to what we call the end benefit. They're putting it in the user's terms, and they're telling them what they'll save or gain. It's one of those all-important little things that leads to outstanding performance. It's important you do that as well. And you probably notice some other little things in our examples. For example, the team members got the visitor's name early on, and they didn't say, "And who am I talking with?" That can sound aggressive and demanding. Rather, they exchanged information and simply let the visitor complete an unfinished sentence. It's a great skill to learn and use. Listen in again.
Oh, that's great. Those Rasmussens are great, aren't they? By the way, my name is Dennis Johnson, and yours is?
There are several interesting things there. Let's run through them together. First, notice the use of what we call question softeners. Now, question softeners literally soften the question that follows them. Great softeners are phrases like, "By the way, could I just ask?" Or even more simply, "Tell me, Jason, what is..." Now, you'll see an opportunity to note those softeners in your study guide. But the most interesting thing in the example we just looked at is that the visitor will invariably complete your unfinished sentence when you ask for the name and then say, "Oh yes, sorry, my name is Paul Dunn," and then continue on. And of course, you'll recognize that when they exchange names with you like that, it means they're comfortable with where you're heading. Now, just one more thing before we talk about how we might end the call appropriately. In the examples we've looked at so far, it was possible for the team member to invite the visitor to become a client directly. Now, you may not be in a position to do that for various reasons. For example, in your case, you may have to go visit the caller to talk with them one-on-one about becoming a client. Or the phone visitor may need to come into your place of business to complete the transaction. So we're often asked, how do the standards change in these situations? Well, good news. They don't change much at all. To show you that, let's listen in on another call. In this particular case, it's a call being made by a person who is thinking about changing accounting firms. He's about to talk with one of the partners. Let's listen in, and when we do, check off all the skills that are being used and see if you can spot which ones change.
Good afternoon, this is Deborah Thomas.
Hello, Deborah. Thank you for taking my call. My name's Paul McGurvin and I'm thinking about changing my accounting firm. I wondered how your charges compare with what I'm currently paying.
Oh, thanks so much for calling us. By the way, is it okay if I call you Paul?
I'd prefer that.
Okay. Well, as I was saying, I'm really pleased you called. So that I can help you best, is it okay if I begin by asking you just a few questions?
Of course.
Thank you. Could I just ask Paul, how did you come to hear about us?
A friend of mine had mentioned that he'd heard a lot about your firm. He's not a client, but he'd heard a lot of good things about you.
Oh, that's good. So Paul, do tell me something about your business and what do you see as your needs being right now?
Well, our partner is going pretty well so far, don't you think? Let's move ahead in the conversation and see what happens.
Thank you for giving me all of that information, Paul. It's really helpful and I can see how we might be able to help in lots of ways. Before we do that though, we always find it's best to meet so that we can listen some more and get an even greater appreciation of how we can make your business more valuable. Meeting is very useful because I'd like to bring along one of our client managers. That way you can get a feeling for how we do things. You can get a feeling for, the sorts of personalities involved. And we can run through what we call our commitment to each other. It's a simple but very important document that outlines precisely the way we work with our clients to put them in total control of how we work together. How does that sound so far?
Sounds great to me.
Okay, Paul. So if you have your calendar there, how does 10:20 next Thursday morning at your office fit in with you?
Well, our partner did outstandingly well. Let's see what standards were used and which ones, if any, changed. To do that, let's go through each standard. Remember Performance Standard 1, smile to the point of a grin before you answer the call. Standard 2, answer the call on the second ring, certainly within 3 to 5 seconds. And then Standard 3, good morning, good afternoon, and then optionally the company or departmental name, then the this is, followed by the first name and the last name. Then Performance Standard 4A, which reminds us to listen attentively. And then Standard 4B, talking about giving out all those great positive strokes. And what about the next lot of standards, the ones we're working on here? Standard 5, you'll recall, ask questions irrespective, and that means all of the time. Standard 5A, always use a positioning statement before you ask questions. Well, our partner did that one too. Listen in again.
Okay. Well, as I was saying, I'm really pleased you called. So that I can help you best, is it okay if I begin by asking you just a few questions?
Of course.
Thank you.
Again, our partner did very well on asking questions too. You would have noted lots of neat, open questions as she observed this standard. Standard 5B, ask open questions beginning with what, which, when, where, how, why, and who. And what about this next standard? That's the one that we call Performance Standard 5C. It was, you'll recall, give a benefit of the product or service. Now, if you were listening very closely, you'd have noted that our partner didn't do that. But what she did do was much more effective in the situation when you need to get face-to-face with the phone visitor. Listen in again and see if you can pick it precisely.
Thank you for giving me all of that information, Paul. It's really helpful and I can see how we might be able to help in lots of ways. Before we do that, though, we always find it's best to meet so that we can listen some more and get an even greater appreciation of how we can make your business more valuable. Meeting is very useful because I'd like to bring along one of our client managers. That way you can get a feeling for how we do things. You can get a feeling for, the sorts of personalities involved, and we can run through what we call our commitment to each other. It's a simple but very important document that outlines precisely the way we work with our clients to put them in total control of how we work together. How does that sound so far?
You'll notice that instead of talking about the benefits of the product or service, what the partner actually did was talk about the benefits of getting together. And that is right on the point. In fact, when you're in situations where you need to get face-to-face with the phone visitor, the worst thing you can do is to give them benefits of your product or service. By comparison, though, the best thing you can do is observe this standard, just like our partner did. It's Performance Standard 5C in what we might call the get-together mode. And it says, give a benefit of getting together. Then you will have noticed that the partner applied Standard 5D perfectly. Here it is again. Standard 5D reminds us to ask temperature-checking questions to check on how the caller feels about the solution. Listen in to how that was done.
We can run through what we call our commitment to each other. It's a simple but very important document that outlines precisely the way we work with our clients to put them in total control of how we work together. How does that sound so far?
So now the partner realizes the moment is right, and she applies this next standard. It's Standard 5E. When the moment is right, ask a question that makes it easy for the visitor to become a client. And she did that this way.
Okay, Paul. So if you have your calendar there, how does 10:20 next Thursday morning at your office fit in with you?
In fact, to make it even easier, you can modify Standard 5E in the face-to-face situation to make it read like this. Performance Standard 5E in get-together mode. When the moment is right, set the time and place specifically. Now, the last part of that standard is the important part. Once again, it's set the time and place specifically. Now, that means you don't say something like, "So when do you want to get together?" Or even, "What time suits you best?" You must, we find, set the time and place specifically first. Studies show that to be by far the most effective way. So there you have it, a kind of subset of standards for the face-to-face mode. So to celebrate getting those down, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about some outstanding ways of farewelling the visitor, or if you will, ending the call. I'll join you when you're ready.
I hope you got a lot of value today. If you did, click the like button. What that does is help us build our non-profit business school, UBLA. Check out in the description below to find out more about what we're doing and how you can help. This is part of a multi-part series, so keep your eye out for the next video. In the meantime, we've done a great playlist about why do small businesses fail. Check this link over here, and this will show you a great little list about how you can be successful in business. So thank you very much. Catch you again soon.